What's up, Lemon Heads? It's Crystal coming to you live from the ServiceTitan Marketing Pro Super Fun Day Conference. That's what I call it. So we're so excited to be here in beautiful Austin, Texas. I say beautiful, it's only slightly humid. Humidity is only slightly rearing its ugly head today, but we have some people I'm so excited for you to get to hear from. We actually did a little drawing or prize wheel, and this is who won, and we hit the jackpot. So joining me today in the virtual lemonade stand, no, this is not a virtual lemonade stand, this is my makeshift lemonade stand here at the hotel, but Dennis with LeadHub and Juan with HomeX Plumbing, and we are going to talk about the importance of good vendor and contractor communication. So let's sip some lemonade. All right, so I preach this all the time. I came from a contractor background, so I lived a life of marketing for my family's heating and air conditioning company for years. And so I realized the better I communicated with my different vendor partners, my website vendor partner, my direct mail, whatever vendor partners I had, the better it seemed to perform. And so I know you guys kind of have that relationship with each other. And so let's start with Juan. Just tell us, Juan, who you are, where your business is located, and then I'll jump to Dennis.
Got it. So my name's Juan. I'm with HomeX Plumbing and Rooter. Started probably about 4.5 years ago. Started with my wife out of the garage.
I love it.
Little by little, we moved into a bigger shop. Right now, we're probably doing about $3.5 million.
Oh, okay.
So
in 4 years, that's fantastic.
Little by little, we actually we were put on the LeadHub, and it probably been one of the best things.
Yeah.
It came through a referral, so awesome. Little by little, we started growing their relationship, and the fact that they were able to personalize and really
customize your plan.
Well, they were actually able to see what I wanted to see, as far as how I wanted to grow little by little, and
so not overwhelm yourself. Like,
correct.
I can only take the customer journey was important there. We say that they were mentioning that today in some of the classes that we were doing, or some of the speakers that were presenting. Like, you can just like rock it off with growth, and then not have the plumbers or the technicians to be able to service, and then the customer experience with the HomeX brand is now like, well, they couldn't even get to me. So having a controlled launch. So Dennis.
Yeah, so my name is Dennis Ayotte. I'm the Director of Client Success at LeadHub. We've been working with Juan for almost a year now. So we got connected through Tom Howard, who's with ServiceTitan, Pantheon last year.
Awesome.
And then after that, we just had continuing conversations, and then eventually brought Juan on board. And so, working with Juan has been great. He's a smart guy. He's very fair. He understands, some of the difficulties we face in his particular market, because he's in Anaheim, California, which is right there butted up against LA. So it is a very competitive market.
Yes, to say the least. Yeah.
And so, we're in constant communication on a bi-weekly basis. He's got my cell phone number. He's got other numbers of folks in our organization. So we want to be, open and be able to, answer our clients' questions or anything. Because, sometimes things are going really well, and then other times things aren't going so well. So when the phones aren't ringing and things like that, Juan is, quick to just let us know, like, hey, we're starting to slow down. What are some things we can do? And it's great to get that information quickly, as opposed to waiting to, like a monthly meeting, and then you kind of hear it all like in one thing.
Yes, absolutely. I say all the time, if you only know that this month, the last month was bad, and the next month, that's not a good sign.
Right.
So you should be, and we preach this all the time. So at Lemon Seed, we're always like, hey, make sure that you're thinking about things. Not in the moment. Look forward a little bit to see like where this is not a good trend, or especially during the sickness, everybody was getting sick. When you go through like cold and flu season, like, man, I've got a plumber down for 2 weeks. When we were having all those restrictions. That if you're only running a team of 4 and you take a whole plumber out, why are you spending money to generate all of these ads? You could do there's some things that you can do to slow that roll. But so I say this a lot too. Communication. So Juan, you have learned that you can depend on Dennis's team to take your feedback. But if you never reached out to Dennis and said, hey, this is what's going on internally, then you don't have a chance to respond. So what happens is, then as contractors, we're like, oh my gosh, I wasted, quote unquote, wasted all this money and nothing happened. And that's really not true. So y'all meet bi-weekly.
Yep.
So how do you prioritize those bi-weekly meetings? Because I know if you're like most contractors, there's other places you probably could be other than sitting on a phone call. Because you're in California, you're in the great state of Texas, you know, fellow Texan vibe there. But, you know, so you're not, or that y'all can meet in person. You've got to stop and get on the call with him. Like, how do you make that work?
I mean, honestly, I think I've just kind of adapted to it little by little. And it's actually pretty great because I don't only meet with Dennis, I actually get to meet with the whole team. So
awesome.
There's definitely full support on that aspect.
So what does he have, like a paid ads team?
Yeah, so usually in the meeting we'll have the account executive who's his direct contact, who's the project manager, making sure we're getting everything done as defined in the deliverables and just on deadline. And then we also have what we call our buy team member, which would be media planner, buyer, and other agencies. And those two are always in the meeting at minimum, so we can speak to everything that's kind of happening on the brand fulfillment side from an SEO perspective, email marketing, reputation management, all that good stuff. And then on the other side is our buy team specialist, who comes in and really kind of breaks down what's happening on the ad side. So from a PPC perspective to social to potentially any traditional media we might ever do, they can speak to all those points. And so they're sharing information on obviously the normal KPIs, kind of everything we spent and some of the metrics in there. At LeadHub, we really focus on kind of three major KPIs to start. That's total revenue, cost per acquisition, and of course I'm forgetting the third one right now.
Those two are enough for most contractors. Right. Most contractors are already like, oh my gosh.
And my team's gonna hate me, but I'm drawing a blank right now. But and total leads.
Total leads, right?
Okay. And so, and the way we track leads are obviously gonna be form fills, but then our calls, we don't just track any calls. We set parameters that it's a 30-second call or longer.
Awesome.
So, because we know some people might misdial or something like that, so we don't want to count those types of leads because they're likely not a true overall
actionable lead. Yeah, for sure.
And then it also helps in writing back data to like a Google Ads platform, so it finds more people that are going to be that are actually going to have a call that's longer than 30 seconds.
Yeah. So bi-weekly, y'all go over that dashboard, basically performance. What do you need to tweak? What do you need to add on and things like that. So what do you think digitally has been the biggest success mover for Juan?
Really, it's been Home Advisor and Yelp, and Juan's team does a great job of responding really quickly to those leads and being able to get out to the home and try to service those. Again, the market that he's in is hyper competitive, and so on the Google Ads side, to be frank, it's been very difficult. And recently we've pivoted those budgets and started looking at other opportunities. So recently launched a Facebook leads campaign. We've seen some traction there, but getting leads there as well. We currently have some other things in the work, looking at exploring, like TikTok and the vertical video world, and how do we kind of approach that. So, as of late, it's really been, Home Advisor and Yelp that's been driving.
Okay, so this is interesting. So operationally, you can drive all the leads through Home Advisor and Yelp. When you do it right, they work well. Mm-hmm. A lot of people are scared of that. Right, because they feel like it's pay to play, and if I don't play it, well, it's true.
Right.
So it's a strategy. I say this all the time. Any marketing tactic that you have is just an organized strategy is all it takes. So operationally, how did you prepare your CSR or whomever's taking those leads? Do you meet with them? Like, how did you coach them on how to be successful with Home Advisor? Because he said y'all are quick to respond.
Yeah. So I would say our team is extremely well with Home Advisor. Same thing with Yelp. I would say in our market, and we just talked about it yesterday, there's a lot of big sharks.
Yeah.
Orange County has the Service Champions, the Next Gens, some of the big guys, the Absolute Airflows. Makes it real competitive for somebody to go in there.
To break in, yeah.
Definitely. So, I mean, on that part, one of the things that we try to do what works really well for us is speed. So I mean, when some of these guys are going in there, calling clients a few minutes later, it's past time already.
Yeah.
Somebody's.
You've already called them.
What?
Yeah.
But I say this because, you know, a lot of contractors feel like you do. Man, I'm like this medium-sized shark, you know, and I'm going to be a big shark, but how do I get around those things? And y'all both have said great things. Number one, he said you pivoted, right? So you had to start somewhere, get some measurement to know what was working. So you had to have clear expectations. So I'm assuming LeadHub said, hey, we are going to do this, and then we're going to pivot, and you've trusted the process of pivoting over to Facebook ads and lead generating ads and things like that. That takes a lot of trust is my point here. And when you start out, you know, so many people get defeated because you're not automatically on page one or getting all these leads through Google local service ads or all these clicks on PPC and map ads and all those things. But all it takes is realigning a strategy. So you knew if, okay, my strategy is going to be Home Advisor and Yelp. I'm going to make sure that internally, operationally, we're set up for success. And so I think that's really helped you have a differentiator there.
Yeah.
But again, it just goes back to Juan could sit here all day and take credit for things being successful, and so could the digital company sit there and say, we generated. But at the end of the day, if the two of you are not in some sort of tandem working together, it would not be as successful as it's been. So tell me a little bit about your brand. Did you come up with it? Is that what is that name?
So originally, kind of a weird.
A lot of contractors have this story.
So I wanted to really base it somewhere towards home and expert, and then that's how we ended up with HomeX. A few years later, found out that there's actually a couple other HomeX out there, but that's originally how we landed on that.
Okay, so it's meant to be the home experts is a combined word. So as marketers, I love combined words because it gives you a little differentiation. And then I'm assuming your colors are pink and yellow, so just totally different colors outside of the red and blue. And so, if anything, so aside from your partnership with LeadHub, what is one thing that you think you're like, man, I'm really glad I did that? I gave you no time to think.
Honestly, I would say it's not a particular thing, but it's a particular person. So I run a co-ed company with my wife.
Okay.
So she's like my right-hand person. She does everything from the books and everything, and she's really sharp. So that's helped me kind of balance the company a little.
What's her name?
Marilyn.
Well, shout out to Marilyn.
Shout out to Marilyn.
Yes. Hashtag women in the trades. So women have a good, we were just talking about this last night. So many women from everything, from leading install crews to leading CSRs to being bookkeepers and to being the marketers on the team. You know, it's really nice to see, like, you really can have really good partnerships. I was visiting with another contractor who, like, I think he told me 3/4 of his leadership team is female. They just bring a different perspective. They bring a different touch, a different feel. And so good for you for a shout out to her. Get brownie points. So, and then last question for you. If you had to give contractors one piece of advice, like, man, they're just like Juan, like they know they've got a big goal ahead of them. What's one thing you think they could really focus on digitally to be successful?
I think it's going to be the relationship with their agency and making, you talked about trust earlier, and really that's the most important thing because it can be a struggle, right? Because you want your clients to do very well and have these, 10x, return on ad spend, but the reality is that's not always the case. And so we want to set like clear, reasonable expectations around that stuff.
I love that.
Because if we come out the gate and say, yeah, we're going to get you a 20x return on ad spend, we're setting, up false expectations. And so
everybody up for disappointment.
Yeah. And so, so contractors really, really understanding like the ugly side of it, like what could be the worst case scenario. So we can level set on that. Because obviously we want to do well. We want them to have the most success. But like in the case again with Juan, it's like we've just been finding over the course of the year that it's just such a tough market, and the things that may work in like Mobile, Alabama aren't going to work in
Anaheim, California.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think it's really just honing in on that relationship and allowing your agency to, it really pushing them to say, hey, be honest with me on this.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times you don't want to share the potential ugly side of it. So
Sure.
it's important to kind of understand the whole picture and really know that stuff. So.
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys so much. So, guys, I really enjoyed visiting with Dennis from LeadHub and Juan from HomeX. We'll put their contact information in the show notes. So in case you want to reach out, get more information about LeadHub, or just visit with Juan about how he's been successful, even how he's working together in the business with his wife, which he's mentioned a couple of times. A great resource for both of those things. So their contact information will be in the show notes. If you love everything about From the Yellow Chair, we'd love for you to give us a shout out on social media, like and follow us, leave us a review. Guys, thank you so much for sipping lemonade all the way from Austin, Texas.